I don't know who we're going to have tonight.
Yeah,
I would
good
think
luck.
Marty and Eric will be here. I didn't see anything from them. I know Jeff can't do it. Ben was not feeling well.
Hmm.
Um, who else said they weren't going to be here?
I think Mark will be
Jim
here.
Ray.
Yeah,
Jim.
Jim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jim said he wasn't going to be here. Oh, and Mark Fuccio too.
right.
So
Yes.
we got a lot of people that aren't going to be here tonight.
Hey, at least I have a good background. It seemed my
Yeah, it's a
bed.
good natural one. Yeah.
I just realized that's above the bed.
I can see more of the one on your, I guess would be your left shoulder. On your right shoulder, it's more like uh muted, I guess. I don't know what the right word is.
Yeah.
It's not as
Yeah.
sharp. Is that how it is in really, or is that just how it turns out on
Yeah,
the camera?
as always, hotels have crappy lighting.
It's
Yeah,
kind
but
of
David, I got to tell you, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised.
I
This
mean, it's
camera's
not.
really good.
Yeah, it maybe the camera's doing it, but it's not as it has the yellow tint, of course, but
Right.
it's not an obnoxiously yellow tint. All right, so we are successfully live. So I need to find the chat and pop it out.
Really weird to be on Eastern time.
Now you know how we feel when we come out to your area, David.
At least it's not football season.
It's like all the evening news and everything are on at the wrong hour. It's like what's wrong with these people?
10 o'clock. That's the evening news.
What'd you say?
Is it 10 o'clock? That's the evening news.
Yeah, see, we do it well. Some of the I think the Fox station here does it at 10,
Yeah.
but everybody else does it at 11.
Ours Fox station does it at 9.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Ours is probably about 9 also. Yeah. The main late newscast. Yeah. Oh, there's the link. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. That is a good thing. So I didn't realize I was going to have this many things. I was a little worried, and then I started listing them out. It's like, oh my God, you know, we can. I
We're
doubt that we'll
also
get to many of these, so I may cherry pick them out of order.
It's a lot of fun stories too.
yeah, we're also 7 minutes out, so hopefully we'll get more people.
Yeah. Well, hey, they've got us. What more do you need?
That's right. Hey, Marty should be here.
Yeah, I think I didn't see anything from Marty and Eric to the contrary, so I would think they will be. Whoops.
Yesterday's Vision Profiles was a good one to watch,
Yeah.
YouTube wise, as opposed to audio. Seeing the between Eric's
Oh, his persona.
person between that and showing off that app with the walking around the house with
Yeah.
using what's it called? This I guess screen share, right? Or the
Yep.
iPhone share, yeah,
It was
and
part
being
of
able to
it.
measure, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't feel like lugging my Vision Pro here. I got enough to travel with.
Well, especially when you're going to be doing other things, you know.
Yeah, that too.
Um, I dropped into Vision Pro for a few minutes last night, and
I saw you.
I was falling asleep at the keyboard, and
Yeah.
just because I don't know if I told you this. Well, never mind. I'm not going to say it out in the live chat. I'll tell you later if I think
Okay.
about it. Nothing's secret or deep, just
Yeah,
just stuff.
Yeah,
got it.
day catches up.
Yep. So yes, chat room, I am keeping secrets from you. I'm sorry.
Today was a physically tiring day. We had tons of furniture to move at work today.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the standardized tests updated their procedures on how far away left and right and in depth you have to be from other testers. And as a result, had to move in and out furniture for the computer labs.
sounds like fun.
Mm. Yeah, now that it's done though.
Hello, Webb.
Hello, hello.
Always a
those,
great background. Yeah.
those quilts just never cease to amaze me. I mean, really. And
So
I'm
I-
not just saying that.
Oh, this was the very first one I ever put up. So, and this one is actually sitting on the guest bedroom. So if any of you ever come stay the night, you'll be seeing it.
Cool.
I love the color
Nightmares.
scheme of it. too.
However, she's going to make me take it off the bed because she doesn't want to get stretched or anything. So,
Where
Hey,
does
Marty.
she put all these?
you know what she does seriously is she made 100 quilts last year, and most of them she gave to the either the Children's Hospital or the hospice here in Kansas City. So,
Got it.
100 quilts. That's quite a
yeah.
like one every few days. That's
Pretty much,
incredible.
yeah.
Wow.
So now they're not as intricate as this one. You've seen some of my other ones, so but yeah, this one was if you zoom in real tight, you can see that that's very intricate. Every one of those little triangles is a panel. So
Oh,
Um,
it's
there was a lot of swearing with this one. I'll put it that way.
Hey, Eric,
Hello.
hey,
the
Eric.
effect looks really nice with persona
It's-
amongst the background.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
I don't know how to stretch the persona out, so it's either black bars or background.
it
looks
kind of like
great.
look. It gives you the impression you've like become one of the flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
You're-
little camouflage there.
Yeah,
I'm getting
There's
Honey,
a
I
bug
Shrunk the
about to
Kids
crawl in your
vibes.
ear, though. So
I like how
Or
it
he's
gives
a
you- it gives-
very, very old woodland fairy.
I wish I did show titles.
Yeah. I like how it adds your glasses to you.
Yeah. I really should have changed the color on the glasses.
Are those glasses similar to the style of glasses that you wear?
Wrong color, but close.
No.
I didn't even think about the fact that you're in the goggles and not wearing glasses.
Yeah.
You can add the things.
Yeah,
to,
You can get to the sides
Yeah.
are there now too. It's if I forget and I lean forward, you get the top of my head. It's the only
Looks like
the only
it-
thing
it-
that's odd is I created the persona at max stock, so I have like a name tag. I really need to do it again without
I did mine and I had my battery laying on my chest.
so
Hmm.
I need to go someplace, get my face painted or something, then do the persona, and then I'll have like permanent decorations or whatever.
You mean like a Mike Tyson tattoo, or
Well, I wasn't going that far. I was, thinking
You could do it in henna.
balloons or whatever. Wow. No,
Henna would actually wear off after a while.
I was thinking more like excitable 5 and 6 year olds, but okay. Henna maybe. I wanted more colors. Then I could have a 6-color apple on one cheek and a whatever.
wow,
Yeah,
this is a man who takes things really seriously. If he's going to
he
start getting
does.
face tattoos of the Apple logo, I mean, all those slackers that have them on their arms or their their upper arms or whatever. Eric's just going to do right for it and put them on a face.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I had a Zune on my ankle.
Zune.
that's what they told you, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably no. I wouldn't want it there. I wouldn't want it anywhere that it could be visible.
He does not like them.
It's
It almost sounded like Seuss when you said, "I do not like them. I would not want them there. I would not want them anywhere."
Yes. No, I just don't. No, I better not say that either. Never mind. I'm learning to censor myself. It's, all right. Well, I have. Excuse me.
Okay, clap.
Nice, Barry. He says you only think it was a Zune. All right. Well, I have top of the hour, so let's do it. Hello, chat room. So here we go. In 3, 2.
Underpants.
Underpants.
I think we almost had harmony there.
I wouldn't call it harmony, but
Yeah. Well,
heavy
probably
on
as
the
close-
almost.
Yeah, I was just going to say probably as close as this group will ever get. All right. So in 3, 2, welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is Mac Voices Live. We are live on YouTube at youtube.com/Mac Voices TV. If you're watching us after the fact, we are not live on YouTube at youtube.com/Mac Voices TV, but we will be again. So by all means, get over there on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern and join us in the chat room live so you can add your thoughts, commentary, abuse, or all of the above, just not necessarily in that order. Surprisingly, we have a lot of stuff to get through tonight. I kind of doubt we're going to get to hit all of it because some of it is probably going to dig us into deeper discussions. So we're going to get right to it and go around the room, see who's here, and then find out. David Ginsburg is in the top left of my screen as usual. David, good to see you, but you're not. You're where you usually are on my screen, but you're not where you usually are physically.
I am not. I'm taking a little bit of vacation. I'm out in actually Albany, New York, which is outside of Saratoga Springs. So I'm doing a little vacation time. I'm gonna check out the horse racing and the track. It's a beautiful place, and but I wanted to make sure I caught here and join you guys for some great conversation.
Great. Well, I'm glad to have you. Appreciate the
Yeah.
extra effort.
Yeah, and I got a good internet too.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks
Yeah.
good. And we talked about this pre-show, but you're just using your MacBook camera and my MacBook microphone.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. Looking like he's where he usually is. Brian Flanagan Arthurs is here. Brian, good to have you.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Webb Bixby is here with one of the amazing quilts that the Quilt Queen puts together for him. Webb, it seems like every week I want to say that's one of my favorites, but I feel like I'm saying it every week.
Well, I can say this one is definitely one of mine. And like I said in the pre-show, this was when I first decided I'd throw the quilts on here. This was the very first one that I did on this show. So, I just pulled out an oldie but a goodie. So
Nicely done. I like it a lot.
thank you.
Marty Genesius is here as he usually is, which is always a good thing. Marty, nice to have you.
It's good to be here. It has been a hell of a day, and I could tell you all about the hell of a day, but this is your show, not mine. So I'm glad to be on your show and not mine right now. That's the best part.
Okay, that's fair. Maybe we can compare notes after the show.
Sure.
just maybe you won't feel so bad if you know somebody else is also having those days.
I did.
Yeah, yep. There we go. Yeah, we'll have a contest in After Dark. How's that?
Yeah.
Eric Bolden is also with us, but I have no idea where he is at this point because he is doing something a little different tonight. Eric, first of all, it's great to have you. Second, do you want to let folks know why you look just a little different tonight?
Well, I thought I needed to get closer to the flowers, so I went virtual, dove into the flower patch, and here I am in an Apple Vision Pro persona in amongst the flowers.
Guess what? Looks like there's an insect close to your head, so watch out for him. I'm not sure what that is, but
move out of the way.
Doesn't look good.
Oh,
So I think, let me see. There I am.
Now
Okay.
you look like a bug.
Yeah.
with that D band.
And ploof, kind of back.
Look
I'm
at you.
working on it.
He's working out to be able to go back and forth there.
Yeah.
So, Eric, I gather you're just seeing us as you normally would. No, I mean, of course, inside the Vision Pro, but are we filling up all of your vision, or are we in a window?
Nope, you're in a window in a display in front of me so I'm looking through the Apple Vision Pro to a display because how did I do this? I connected from the Apple Vision Pro to my Mac in Ecamm. And then I connected to Zoom, selecting the virtual video stream and my regular mic. So it's
Okay,
sort of
got it.
roundabout, but in theory, it will work with just about anything. So I can connect to Ecamm, I can connect to Zoom. I should, in theory, be able to connect to Teams, but I haven't had a chance to try that yet.
Don't.
I knew that was coming.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Couldn't help it. Couldn't help it. All
Yeah,
right.
do
Well,
do you guys wear your Apple Vision Pros when you're at work
Oh
No.
yeah.
or you do?
Mm-hmm. Because at work I have one display and no space on my desk, and a window that lets light in at a weird angle where I can't read my display. Put the Vision Pro on, I get big display, no people bothering me mostly, and yeah, so it works pretty well.
So do you have visitors? See, I get visitors, and if I was wearing, yeah, that just no.
They might be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
It all depends on how badly they want to ask their question.
but Webb, if you decide to do that, though, you got to get I forget what it's called, but that orange thing that, you know, because
V-band.
that really makes it look extra strange. Yeah, there you go. Thank you,
Yeah.
Eric. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for
Not
the
a bad
intrusion.
or
Thank
two.
you, Chuck.
No. It's an interesting point. And it's one that suddenly we're taking off on Vision Pro, but you know, the idea that if you are using it in a work environment, you know, there's not challenges, but just things that people are going to have to get used to. One more thing people have to get used to.
Eric said the magic word when he mentioned Teams, which is a platform that I have to use at work. And yeah, I did. Maybe I would like it wearing a Vision Pro while on a Teams call. Maybe I would
Well,
like it a lot.
if you want to look like you have no depth and in Teams, all you have to do is show up in Teams.
Wow.
People accuse me of not having any depth anyway, so I don't need any help. So.
Well, I can't. I wouldn't be able to connect my Vision Pro to work because your Vision Pro has to be associated to your account. So, and you don't normally assign your personal account in your work laptop.
Yeah, no. So it's kind of tough to figure out what the most interesting article is to start out with tonight. We try to start with Apple articles,
Yeah.
but I think this one needs to be just discussed a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. That Apple is suing John Prosser over iOS 26 leaks, and I'm not going to go through all the details. You can read the article I just threw into the chat room, but Prosser has a history of being, you know, his reputation is as a leaker. And this time it looks like maybe he went just a little too far if you buy into the allegations. So we have to say that all this is alleged, that he specifically tried to gain access to someone's iPhone running iOS 26 by, let's just say, nefarious means, and maybe with the possible exchange of some funds. So the fact that Apple even is going after him in this fashion, I can't believe that they would make the allegations. It just wouldn't make any sense to make these allegations and then have them proved wrong. So they have to feel like they have a pretty strong case. Mm-hmm. And I've seen some chatter about how I guess the media and a lot of people, or even Apple employees, are reacting to this. And I honestly kind of don't get it, because if it's confidential information, or if there are NDAs in place, it's confidential information and there are NDAs in place. So, you know, why should violating that potentially be something that Apple should not crack down on? Brian?
Yeah, no, I agree. If there was, you know, and the methodology at which he is alleged to have found that information out. I think it's reasonable for a lawsuit such as this.
Marty?
I think Apple's been with the past. There have been a situation in the last year that Apple has been cracking down on the leaks that are coming from the organization. They've done some administrative changes, and some of it might have been as a result of some of the leaks that have come out. And I think they're kind of cracking down on this because they want to control the media. They don't want John Prosser controlling the media. So this is not just a leak that he got. This is kind of stepping over the line in terms of
Right.
involvement and enticement by other people trying to get information for him, getting information through them, which makes it even harder to kind of patch that leak up. So I don't have any issues with Apple bringing this to litigation. I do think that we're going to see it. Apple's going to be harder and harder on dealing with leaks so they can control the media.
Okay. Webb, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, hold on a second. It's just reading the complaint. The complaint one, misappropriation of trade secrets under the Defend Trade Secrets Act, blah 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 blah, in violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Yeah, they this is not a criminal trial. This is a copyright. I don't think it's criminal, is it?
No.
I think they're seeking damages, financial damages. Let's put it this way: these two gentlemen had better have a damn good lawyer, and they better pay them a lot, because somebody's going to get paid. I'll put it that way. So, and I don't know if, yeah, I'd probably fess up and say, yeah, I got it, and I did it, and I shouldn't have done it, and see where it goes from there. So.
Yeah, I heard one comment on one show that I was a little surprised at. They said, "Oh, well, this, if they're going after Prosser, they should definitely go after Mark Gurman."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I get it. Whether Gurman is getting his information through official channels or not, or approved channels, maybe is a better way to say it. I don't know, because otherwise, yeah, it would make a lot of sense. On the other hand, whether people are just talking to Gurman versus what is alleged here that Prosser orchestrated this is, a question. David?
Doing a
Yeah,
video
well-
doesn't help his cause.
Well, yeah,
You
good
know.
point. Yeah.
Well, that's the whole reason why it happened. But I mean, like the allegation says, he potentially offered compensation to this employee, and that, if anything, we don't know how much that compensation was to entice him to do this. I would not be all surprised that Apple's going after this employee too, besides terminating him. I just find it interesting to see where would this go. But what Prosser talked about was all stuff that he got spot on because he was able to actually look at a developer device, and that's where Apple has a problem with that. I mean, you sign an NDA as an employee with Apple, and you're not supposed to be doing that. And he obviously had this information because of this, and like I said, money motivates a lot of people here.
Yeah. Eric, I want Brian back in, but before he comes, want to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of value in being able to surprise people with an announcement that's controlled. So when Apple brings out a new product or brings out a new OS, not having everybody having heard about it for several months makes a huge difference in the impact later when it actually does come out. So I'm sure that they're going to a lot of effort to try to slow this kind of thing down or eliminate it entirely. And this is closer to almost espionage versus calling up a bunch of factories and saying, how many widgets are you using and did you upgrade any? And, oh, maybe that means something.
I haven't heard the word espionage mentioned, Eric, but I see where you're going and I agree with it. Brian?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that in addition to the notes there about showing off some of the features of iOS 26 maybe a little bit early, there's a couple lines in the article that relates to the Apple employee's phone having a significant amount of additional Apple trade secret information that has not yet been publicly disclosed. So it may go much deeper in as far as the information that was on that phone than initial stuff that's already been talked about in the new operating system.
Hopefully Prosser's smart enough to not to do that and just aggravate the situation.
Yeah.
Barry in the chat room says the big difference is that Mark Gurman has Bloomberg lawyers. Prosser is independent.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wrong is wrong.
When it's still
Yeah,
wrong.
I know Barry's being a little flip. I can understand how if you had Bloomberg backing you, maybe you'd push the edges a little bit. But this one just feels like it's so far over the edge that yeah, to Webb's point, he better have good lawyers just so he doesn't have to go bankrupt to pay it off.
Granted, if you read the complaint, they're written to be a little over dramatic, but defendant's misconduct was brazen and egregious after Mr. Prosser learned that Mr. Ramacati needed money, that his friend Ethan Lipnick worked at Apple on unreleased software designs. Defendants jointly planned to access Apple's confidential and trade secret information through Mr. Lipnick's Apple-owned development iPhone. Apple learned the details of the scheme in Mr. Ramacati's own words through an audio message to Mr. Lipnick, which Mr. Lipnick provided to Apple. Boom. They did it. They know they did it. They know that it was wrong to do it, and they did it anyway.
Yeah. And as far as being overly dramatic, in other words, just like every other complaint you and I've ever read, Webb.
Including one today at about 3:00. Thank you.
I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to let it go. Anything else before we leave this? Okay. Let's do a fun story or a good story. And that is that Apple's F1, the movie, passed 400 million at the box office over the weekend. So this is now an unquestioned hit. It's an unquestioned success. And maybe it'll open the door for Apple to do some other things in the theaters and not some of the things that the way they've couched their theatrical releases in the past. Because this is a bit of an action film in its own way. And so I think that's what they need to put in the theaters. The social awareness stuff just doesn't seem to resonate with the big screens. That's the way I see it. Has anybody seen this movie?
Oh, I gotta see it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have not, and I'm a racing fan.
Right.
And the reason why is because I wanted to see it in IMAX, and the following right after this, the Jurassic Park movie came out, and it took the movie out of all the IMAX theaters around me. So that's why I
Really?
haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everywhere in the country.
Yeah. Webb, did you have a question?
No, that was the
Oh.
comment that I was going to make. That was it. I haven't
okay.
seen it yet. I want to. I'm embarrassed that I haven't. So.
Well, I'm the same way, but frankly, with Macstock Prep and Macstock, and then the inevitable aftermath of being away from the office for a few days, I haven't gotten to see it yet. But I'm with you. I want to see it. If I can't see it in IMAX, at least on a big screen in a theater with a really fantastic sound system. So it's at the top of my things to do list.
I kind of thought about trying to do something on one of the evenings when we were in Macstock, but there wasn't a theater that was close by that I felt was adequate for us. So, and we were so compressed for time, as you well know. But
yeah, which is a good thing at Macstock.
Yeah.
So we have to talk to Mike next year and just say, Mike, why don't you make it just a week long? Then he will never speak to me again.
Yeah.
The UK has reportedly given up on its bid to break Apple's iCloud encryption. Is this a surprise to anyone? Is this, given the implications? Because as we've talked about previously on the show, if Apple had been forced to honor what the UK was demanding, then every other country in the world would have been making the same demands, and basically it would have hurt everyone's privacy. And so I have to wonder where the pressure came from. Did it come from internal? Did it come from the United States government? Did it come from other governments who'd rather not have every other government able to see what's going on in iCloud? And maybe I'm putting Apple's iCloud at the center of the universe, but it just feels like this was a really dangerous precedent to set, no matter whose service they were talking about. Dave?
Yeah, it's definitely something different there. Uh, I don't see how it's how the UK really wants to deal with it anymore. I think it's just something that is just they can't get into, especially with Apple's political connections, like you say, and the fact that it's just there's no open control to be able to try to crack it because like the US isn't going to do it, so why can they do it? That's really what I think.
Yeah. Brian?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that. Just, it's a great win for everybody because, if it would have been, if legislation may have gone the other way, where more governments would have came on the other way and saying, Apple, you need to do this, from hearing from more just the UK government. But for those who live in the UK, this is fantastic. A good win for privacy.
We're back to the same old thing that, if you create a backdoor for one, you're creating a backdoor that
Right.
everyone can potentially come through. So,
Right.
Marty?
Yeah, I just think it's you asked what pressure came about. Probably some political, but I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. Probably some consumer. I think somebody, they just overstepped their reach when they asked for this, and then it turned into a whole series of bad optics for the UK wanting to do this with, whereas, the damage that it could cause not only to US but other countries, and then other countries wanting to do it too. I just think it turned out to be bad optics.
Webb?
Well, and I posted this story in the on the private Slack earlier today. It was definitely an overreach because remember they not only said that they wanted to be able to look at any British citizen, they wanted to look at anybody anywhere in the world that was on iCloud, and they wanted to have access to it. And like I said, that's a huge overreach. Could they have had some political supporters, political pressure? Well, undoubtedly. But I want to go on record that when we first talked about this issue on this show, 2 months ago, I said it's never going to happen. There was no way that they were going to get any support for this. So I was right.
Marty just put in our chat room Ming Chi Webb.
Gee, Webb.
So, Eric, was this any kind of a surprise to you?
Not really. No. It kind of was surprising that it took so long for them to get to this point. And I don't know if whoever originally came up with this had no clue what they were doing. It just seemed like a good idea at whatever meeting they were in. But I don't know if Apple saying that they weren't going to allow advanced data protection for phones in the UK had, like a tiny hint of influence. But yeah, this is a bad look from the start all the way through. Webb's right.
Webb already told us he was right. So,
I just thought, yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, yeah.
You're just reinforcing it. But I think your comments about all of you, your comments about the overreach and the look is really interesting because it also reinforces the the opinion that many of us hold about many politicians that they're meddling in things that they don't fully understand or they don't want to understand. And they end up looking like spoiled little brats who just want it their way, even though it can't be their way. Just give us the keys and it's fine. You know, we'll take good care of them. How many times have we talked on this show and you hear on others that keys, passwords, security measures have been lost or overlooked or worked around by the very people who are supposed to be guarding these things like their life depends on it. So it's too bad we even have to talk about some of it. And I'm sure that won't be the last time the issue comes up. Marty, I'm going to turn to you on this one. Here's how Apple Intelligence keeps privacy in mind versus the competition. I feel like you could have written at least part of this article with some of your comments in the past about our evaluation of Apple Intelligence and how the privacy aspect of it is affecting how quickly it can advance.
Yeah, I mean, this article doesn't go far enough for me, because it kind of stops at the on-device stuff. And it doesn't go on to the environment that Apple's created in terms of asking permission to go off device and search for information that you might be interested in. So it doesn't complete the whole system for me, which also explains why I think Apple's not trying to buy Perplexity or buy ChatGPT. They're trying to license them essentially and put them in as part of their product. So it's good. I've always felt that people who are comparing Apple Intelligence with other types of LLMs are have got it all wrong because they're not taking into consideration the privacy functions that Apple has in place, which is why it's taking a little longer to do. So stop trying to compare them to devices and services that sell your data. And the other thing that I wish Apple would do with this is really make that when anybody says, what's going on with Apple Intelligence? We're still working on it, but we're not selling your data like the other guys. That should be the lead. Don't bury the lead on this. And I mentioned on a previous show that Apple is doing some things with like web browsing privacy. You see some of those ads out now that I think are important. But they need to get on board and support and strengthen the idea that they're doing it differently from a privacy standpoint with Apple Intelligence and AI, and that other services are using you as a commodity.
I don't want to take us too far off topic here, but something you said there, and I just lost it. It was a really great point. I know that don't buy Perplexity. Don't buy, another LLM. I agree with you. I think it depends on how you look at it. I think it is a good thing for them not to do it, but I'm a little surprised that they haven't been maybe taking it a little more seriously, at least based on the reports and leaks and all that we hear, because Apple likes to control the whole widget, whatever it is. And so if they bought, say, Perplexity, then they could have complete control over what Perplexity is doing or what would then be Apple Perplexity and how it was working. And so the idea that they are inviting partnerships with some of the other LLMs is definitely to their advantage, as you said. It just seems just a little un-Apple-like.
Yeah, I think Apple's going to focus on the privacy stuff, and anything that's not going to permit privacy, they're going to say, if you want it, here's the switch that you take to go out and get it. It's on you now. And it's which one do you buy? They all have, like Midjourney does does images really well. Perplexity answers problems in a way that's different than ChatGPT. ChatGPT is much more of an interactive type. So which one do you buy? Do you buy the whole cheese shop, or do you only buy one or two kinds of cheese? It. I think it's better that you have that there, and you're allowing people to pick what they want in terms of additional services. That's my prediction. I'm not as good as Ming Chi Webb or Ming Chi Kuo in making those predictions, but I don't see Apple buying Gemini or buying Perplexity or when would that have to stop to capture the market?
Yeah. Eric, any thoughts on this?
No, I think that Apple staying where it is a good idea. I think right now the environmental costs are kept away from Apple and at other companies, and they've got time to work and try things and can change who they work with to get results without really heavily impacting themselves. So yeah, I figure just keep playing the field. Take the best out of everybody else, cut whatever deals you possibly can, and stay out of it. Although I still really like the on-device AI. So I'm hoping they continue to develop that and not just on device on the phone, but on device on a computer. I see a place maybe at a business on device AI model or a home AI model. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. David, do you think that, again, to echo what Eric said, do you think playing the field is the best idea for Apple at this point? As both from an actual perspective and a public perception perspective?
You should always play the field. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, honestly. I mean, that's what they've done so far, working with OpenAI and ChatGPT. But yeah, I've been playing on you said that don't just go. I'll subscribe to the other ones. I mean, when I started discovering Perplexity, they had a $10 trial discount that I tried for a month, and I compared the two, and um, I mean, I compare them all, honestly. I've done Gemini, I've done ChatGPT. I don't obviously work with ChatGPT and as well as Copilot. Perplexity seems very interesting. It seems like it's got some other potential features, but I don't know if Apple wants to dive into owning an AI firm like this when they've been already fumbling a bit, trying to get Apple Intelligence in place as it is.
Anyone else before we leave this one? Okay. I found this particular article from Macworld really interesting. This is throwing it in both chat rooms here. Oh, Marty, I'm sorry. Did I lose one? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just one final comment on it is you have to realize that when Apple is asking members or Apple device owners if they can have permission to send something out to ChatGPT, they're making it anonymous, but they're also knowing what's being sent out, and they're also knowing the content that's coming back. So Apple is learning, and it could be we don't want to buy the company. What we want to do is learn from the company as part of this relationship and enhance either enhance our on-device stuff, so there's less of it having to go out to other companies, or create our own kind of off-device service that handles more complex questions that are not related to the context of the user. So that's my crazy mad scientist view of what Apple could be doing.
Yeah, I don't think that's a mad scientist view. I think it's a very valid possibility, or whether they've exactly thought about it that way or not, they're doing it. The other thing they're doing, as you were talking about it struck me that they're also kind of subtly reminding you that if you're sending your data out, you're sending your data out beyond their walls, beyond the comforting privacy of the whole Apple ecosystem. And so if you want the information, yeah, we created a doorway for you to walk out. But, there be dragons out there too. So it raises the awareness and sort of in a reverse way reminds you that they do have a privacy focus.
Yeah.
This Macworld article focuses 25 years later, Apple's most infamous Mac can teach some valuable lessons. This was not a hit piece. It was not a super praise piece. It was somewhere in between because it does point out some things from the G4 Cube, which was a beautiful little machine, certainly was powerful for its time, also was certainly pretty expensive for its time, but it had a few issues with it. And there were places it seemed like maybe the designers had overwhelmed the engineers or overruled the engineers. And I wanted to see what your reactions were to this and find out if anybody here ever had a G4 Cube. This is one of the few Mac models that I did not. So I think I saw Brian's hand go up. I think Webb's too.
Yeah.
Eric, anybody?
Yep.
So, okay. So maybe I was the only one.
They were quiet, really, really quiet. That was my favorite thing. It didn't make any noise.
Did you ever have any issues with yours, Eric?
Which one?
You mean which issues or which?
The third one I had was great.
You had service.
What happened to the first two?
Well, one of them had a case that cracked, and it was just annoying to see a big crack in the side. And then the other one, I think one of the speakers stopped working, and there's a problem at the time trying to get a replacement. And then the power brick, there was some kink in it or something. It wasn't working. And there was always an issue trying to get a display plugged in. So they had like a cable that would bend at 90 degrees so you could get it down and out and around. So there's a few little idiosyncrasies here and there, but it was quiet, and I appreciated that a lot.
Webb, you said you had one as well? You muted, Webb.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I did have one. It was actually, I bought it for when I was married to my first wife, and it was kind of her machine. And then it got traded up to one of the kids. And I thought it was a neat, interesting design. It was kind of like, as history now teaches us, very similar to the trash can Mac. It was great, but it was also kind of locked in from a technology standpoint. But you're right, Eric. They were, as I recall, and Brian, you may be able to correct me, but they also did have problems with the plastic cases that did crack, and the chimney design that they had, so it didn't have a fan, also caused the plastic case, if you will, become very brittle. But I liked it. I had that. I also had one of the original cinema displays, the flat panel displays that went with it. And yeah, it was obscenely expensive. Don't get me wrong. From a technology standpoint, it's what the article said. Why didn't they have the 7,000 RPM drives in it instead of the 54s? But by God, it sure looked pretty on a desk,
Yeah, that's it. I was almost seduced by it a couple times because it just did look so good. It looked like the ultimate Apple product at the time. And I've often wondered every time this kind of discussion comes up, if the decision to go with the 5,400 RPM drives was one of based on heat.
Yeah.
The
Could've
7200s run a little faster, or pardon me, a little hotter. So I don't know. Brian, you said what you said had two in the house?
Yeah, I had one. I was mentioning earlier too. We spent way too much money on those. I had, compared to the specs, but they are such beautiful machines and technology at the time, in comparison with some of the other products I could have bought. I remember saving up a lot of money for this, and it was working fast food, so little
Hmm.
incremental amounts of money at a time saving up. I was living at home, so that money stretched further. But I remember I had bought the version with, they had two different drive versions, one with a DVD drive and then the other one with a CDR drive. And I had purchased the DVD drive and then um, bought an external CDRW, I guess, drive and plugged that in. And so many wonderful memories playing games with buddies over the years. And then it was also the Mac that I had that transitioned over between OS 9 and OS 10. So I remember it's the first, I guess it would be first year and a half, I guess would have been under OS 9. And then when 10 came out, going and buying that. So yeah, it's such a beautiful machine. And then my parents actually ended up getting one as well. And they got the CDR version. But yeah, it's a still beautiful artifact, and it sits up. It's in their household on a shelf, and just a beautiful thing to have up on a bookshelf. Yeah.
Well, and when you look at the picture that's in the article that we put in the chat room, it's sitting. They have it sitting side by side with one of the power. Excuse me, with one of the current Mac Minis, or excuse me, that's a studio, isn't it? That's a studio. Um, just that they learned a lot of lessons from it, and they kept with the design philosophy. Maybe it was a machine ahead of its time. I don't know, but they've been able to utilize everything that they did with that, and maybe that didn't work out so well. And so that's one thing Apple does. It just keeps on going. They keep taking what they learn and plowing it right back in. And too often, as well, maybe we may get to talk about it later in the show here. There's an article, but too often some companies just abandon things, and the lesson just seemed to be it wasn't making them enough money, so they just stopped and dropped it. Marty, you seem to have a different reaction to this.
I distinctly remember this machine because it was my first year I was at Kent State, and they had a, like, I don't know, club fair or something like that. And it might have been a computer club or a Mac club. And I walked past the table, I saw the machine, and I laughed at it. I just thought, what is that? And the guy kind of explained it to me, and I'm like, okay. Yeah, and I'm the youngest person here, so I don't have the history with the machines that all of you old folks do. So yeah. No, I'm a late bloomer, I guess you would say, as it comes to the Mac world.
Well, so I have to pursue it just a little bit, and I'm serious. These are serious questions, Marty. What made you laugh about it? The fact that it looked so unlike a computer that you were used to?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it looks so much like a computer. I might have talked specs with the guy a little bit because I was heavily into PC back then, and then I think I talked cost, and that's when I laughed.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. I can absolutely understand that because yeah, that's the only thing that prevented me from doing this. I don't remember exactly which machines this was up against at the time, but the others definitely seemed a lot more affordable.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was building PCs at that point. I was putting together components in empty shells and buying the motherboards that I wanted and etc.
yeah. So next up, throwing in the chat rooms here. I wanted to see what your reactions were to this. ChatGPT is now getting a record mode. for on the Mac for meeting transcription. This seems to be something that a lot of people want, and I'm really just waiting to see how companies are going to respond to this. But because there are a number of services out there that offer this as part of their package. Now, Microsoft in Teams, and I say that it pains me to say it, but they're also offering an AI assistant that will do a lot of what this seems to do and what a lot of the other services seem to do. I'm not sure who was first to this party. I know Microsoft wasn't. I think I may know, but I'm not going to say because I'm not sure. But is this just table stakes at this point, that this is something that every large language model or AI service has to offer? And do you use them? Webb?
Is Great Britain in here someplace? Are they making this demand? It's I still restrict ChatGPT in my shop. I don't allow people to use it because of the privacy concerns we talked about on the Apple AI side. You put something out there and it's sitting on a server somewhere. This expectation of confidentiality or privacy just doesn't exist. So I think that maybe, and I haven't read the article, so forgive me, but trying to keep track of what anyone has ever said at any time, anywhere, forever. Yeah, that's a lot of data to keep track of. So,
Yeah. Dave, I know again you work in corporate IT. Are in Teams in the Microsoft world, is this something that you think is people are finding acceptable, useful? Are you seeing restrictions placed on it? I can see a dozen great reasons to use something like this. I can see another dozen that, oh my God, I would never want this.
No, it's amazing actually. You know, you go into a meeting and you want to get a summary of something, you want to get the full out the AI doing its thing. So this case it's Copilot, what the action items are, and it just does it just an amazing it does an amazing job of going through all the transcripts as well as the recap within Teams meeting. I find it very, very valuable. I think a lot of my coworkers do as well. And just being able to get a summed up meeting so you can go back to it without having to ask someone else to get notes from them to what was talked about.
Marty?
Yeah, I think one way to think about this is that if you're doing this, I know Zoom is one of those services that you can do. Zoom Workplace will do this for you. And as you've pointed out, Chuck, there are a lot of these already services that are providing this. Now, ChatGPT is new to the game. When you go to the ones that are on services, what you're going to get is you're going to get their output and their format of what they think the meeting notes should be. Whereas if I get a transcript with ChatGPT, I can interact with ChatGPT and manipulate it in a way that's most useful for me. So, an example, if I have a complete transcript of a meeting that I've been in, and I also have a well-written agenda, I can mix those two together, and ChatGPT will be able to provide notes under each one of the agenda items and also provide the action note and who in the room said that. So it becomes a much richer use of it than just here's a meeting summary. And when I have to take notes and I have to keep records of notes, being able to integrate that easily with an LLM that I control that's not pre-established by whatever service is doing it, I get a much more richer or effective output for what I need. So that's why I think they're doing it. I think people realize the robustness of ChatGPT in terms of being able to interact with it, and you just don't get it from some of the pre-canned services that are part of your streaming or your meeting software.
Brian?
Yeah, I just wanted to also add in the article, it talks about from a privacy aspect of ensuring that you're checking local laws and getting written consents before recording others. Although it's kind of interesting because I know that's such a common thing now, even within some of the built-in characteristics of Zoom and Teams and things like that, that you have those options. But important to know.
Lamp in the chat room says, I currently use Mac Whisper, which uses OpenAI's Whisper LLMs. And the Mac Whisper does stores all the LLMs locally, so your data is never going anywhere. And I like that idea. I don't know. I've never had the opportunity to really compare and contrast the two, but so I guess it just depends if it meets your needs. Great, and it's a bonus that it stays on machine. And of course, with Copilot, with Microsoft's Copilot, it can't stay on the machine because it's Microsoft and it has to go out. And ChatGPT, it's going out. So, and with some of the other services, it's going out, or they are listening in on your Teams call, Zoom call, well, any call that you decide to let it listen in on, and processing it in the cloud. So, if you are concerned about privacy, you may want to think about Whisper. Eric, any thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I prefer on device. I've been happy with the closed caption effect of phones listening in to meetings. Nothing is saved there, so you don't get the benefits that Marty's talking about with being able to ask questions and do other stuff with it. That appeals a lot, but there are a lot of meetings I'm in where you're not allowed to keep any records of anything. So, but being able to have effectively closed captioning for people who can't hear what's being said, that's the greatest value I'm seeing. Yeah, I mean, things are improving so fast. I know some people are worried about, well, if your meeting's being recorded and transcribed, then somebody else has a copy of everything, and what are they learning from it? So, paying attention to what's happening with licensing is important, but it's not going to be that long before it's just a standard feature. It's just a matter of, is it on device or not?
Yeah. Again, we're right back to the earlier discussion of privacy and what's private and what's not, which services of these are which aren't. And Eric, to your point, that's going out there. Not only is someone potentially, and this sounds paranoid, somebody's potentially knowing what those transcripts are, but the AI model itself is training itself on these, unless, and I do not know if there's a specific option to tell it not to, but it is always potentially doing that. So be aware. David, I want your thoughts on this one, because we've talked in not so nice terms about Microsoft's Copilot, along with most Microsoft products. But this article says that ChatGPT has 10 times as many downloads as Microsoft's Copilot.
Well, I think it's kind of obvious that there's so many people in the world that have Microsoft software and tool devices off Microsoft 365 corporate world, being able to use that. So I don't find this to be at all surprising. Microsoft has improved Copilot, so it has some improvements to what it's been doing. So I'm not surprised at all of this. And as far as like it says, Microsoft's put quite a bit of money towards this too, but the ChatGPT is not too far behind. And even the quote says about their AI chief saying that it's going to be as many Copilots as there are people using them. So it definitely isn't surprising at all to me.
I don't know. I mean, 10 times, I can't decide if ChatGPT is just doing things that are more interesting or because it's outside of the Microsoft ecosystem, if you will. I mean, I know we joke a lot about it here, but I don't. My personal feelings are that yeah, I've tried Copilot. Dave, you did a couple interesting little demos for us here on the show. I guess now it's a few months back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on the other hand, I see things that ChatGPT is doing that I'm really intrigued by, and that's the one that I'm paying for. I've touched on Perplexity just a little bit, and played with Claude a little bit, and played with Grok a little bit, but I've ChatGPT is where my focus is at the moment. So
Me too. I mean, it's just personally, I compare the two, and I just find myself drawn more towards ChatGPT than to Copilot on a personal level. I mean, I don't have a choice in work because I have to use it. But which can be maybe a bad thing too, because then I'm not spending a lot of extra time looking at it and staying on top of it too. But overall, I think ChatGPT is I like the different models and some of the plugins you can do. And I mean, I can't explore any plugins, but at work. But it's interesting to see where Microsoft would go with adding a lot of those plugins that ChatGPT has too.
Brian?
Yeah, I was looking at the article, and as I read deeper, it was mentioning that Copilot is fourth place, but second is Gemini, and second place is DeepSeek. And it got me thinking about what they define as a download, because I believe in the Android world, and especially on Pixel, because we have a family member who uses one. It came baked in, it's already there,
Right.
and whether or not they're considering every device that's activated or every device that's turned on to be a download, that makes me think about their definitions. And if that is the way, then it makes me consider, will Gemini's numbers continue to drastically increase just with the handheld devices being sold that have that LLM on it?
Another example of lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Yeah.
What are the details? Webb?
I just, let's keep in mind, there's still the relationship between Microsoft and OpenAI. So there's still some,
That is true.
it's the question is is this a branding question, or is this who's better at it? And the only comment that I made was, at least in my perspective, and I sure could be wrong, like I was in the last comments I made when I was thinking about another article. But the importance of being first, and ChatGPT was kind of the platform that broke the ground on this whole LLM type thing. And so I don't know. It's it doesn't surprise me, and I don't think Microsoft's too broken up by not being, the number 4. I don't think they're too broken up over it.
For how long? For how long will they not be broken up about it?
They're still on the development side, and like I said, they're using the OpenAI platform as part of Copilot. So yeah, it's there was. No, I don't want to mistake that. So I've made a jackass of myself already once tonight. I'm not going to do it again.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. We all do that at least once a show, Webb, if that makes you feel better.
Right.
So,
but we still don't use it in my shop. So
understood. DuckDuckGo is going to allow you to filter out AI images in search results. Is this important?
Yes.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay. That was decisive, Eric. Why is this important, and why did you respond so definitely?
Because there is so much crap being generated now that if you don't have a way to at least knock it down, the results you get back first are the most useless. to try to identify something or confirm some image, or search for what a bird looks like at a particular time of year. You don't want something dressed up to make it look different or whatever, be the result you want to see. When you're staring out the window at a bird and trying to figure out what it is, you want the real bird. So there's nothing more annoying than querying, getting back a pile of results, and then starting to have to count fingers or arms or toes or wings or whatever, and then say, oh nope, that's not real, that's not real. So it's not 100%, but at least knocks it down. That was one of the reasons why people stopped using Google, because it generates a whole pile of results that are meaningless. Then they started getting better, but image is a particular pet peeve of mine.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. The reason I ask about it, though, is this feels like something that to go back quite a ways, when there was such a controversy over some of the airbrushed models that we saw on TV and in magazines and all that they weren't real, essentially. And so, if someone had said, yeah, we really want to filter those out, I don't know. That's why I asked the question, because I can't decide, or is this a matter of that the search engines need to get better about delivering things that are accurate? Unless you ask for an AI generated image, should it default to a quote unquote real image? Or are we at that point where we've already talked about some of the AI powered browsers, so that you can do a different and better query than just asking for a duck in the fall. So,
I mean,
you guys tell me.
The option to filter, I think, is important, and it looks like you can turn it on or off. That's useful. You don't have to use it.
Okay. Marty?
Okay, so this is going to get a lot of people upset with me. I like AI images, and for a multitude of reasons. Well, not a multitude, but more than just it's bad. I'm not doing work for National Geographic, so I really don't care how many toes are on a duck. Well, ducks don't have toes. But you get my drift. If I want an illustration of a duck, I just want an illustration of a duck. And if I search for a service that will provide me, like Shutterstock, that image, yeah, then and again, if I'm trying to do something that is factual and real versus just I want an image to make a point, I'm not worried about the accuracy of the image. So in some ways, generating AI images means that I don't have to worry about royalties. I don't have to worry about those kinds of things. And sorry, that's the way the world is working. If I have to create a design for a new podcast I'm doing AI. I'm going to go AI, because that image is created and generated from the ideas that I put in it, and I don't have to worry about tracking down a source to be able to do that. So yeah, that's probably going to generate a lot of shame on you. You're putting artists out of work. You're stealing their work comments and things like that. So send the email to Chuck.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Marty, I'm going to split the hairs a little bit, because I hear what you're saying and I don't disagree with it. But are you talking about being able to search for the duck and have the images pop up? Or are you talking about being able to say to your favorite large language model, I need a picture of a duck? Because
the latter.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that to me is a big difference than DuckDuckGo. Sorry, with all the ducks, but with DuckDuckGo filtering it out. I mean, I can see a benefit to it. To Eric's point, if he doesn't want stylized ducks, if he's looking for real photos of real ducks,
Yeah.
in what with whatever his parameters are. But I'm like you. I kind of like the idea that if I decide that I want a picture of a whale, wearing a red beret, that I can generate that and then tweak it as I wish. I want the whale bigger, smaller, on its back, on its side, whatever. And I don't know where
Yeah.
that came from, but
Chuck, and this it came to me in the last couple of weeks because I had been using Creative Commons licensed themes for music themes for the podcasts I'm doing. And it hasn't created any problems for me, but then some of it got flagged by YouTube. And they apparently checked it out and they said, yeah, it's okay. It's good for use. But it just bothered me that I was caught in that system. So I started to use services that will generate music for me, AI services that'll generate music for me. And as long as I'm have a member of that service when I generated the music, I essentially have that copyright or I own that piece of music that I'm doing. So it's just another kind of safety net that AI creates for me when trying to generate media.
Barry in the chat said sort of the point we're talking about. Looking for any kind of illustration of a duck is different than searching for the photograph of a specific species of duck. It depends on the use. So that pretty much is it. So Eric, I don't believe you're objecting on a moral basis. You're objecting more on a use case basis.
Yeah, I have a hard enough time telling you the difference between all the different types of ducks. I don't need more variability.
Brian?
I'm kind of back and forth on this, and I wonder how beneficial it'll be in the future. I'm just thinking of the fact that the article was mentioning, where is it? uBlock Origins and others is the list that it's maintaining. And I'm wondering at the speed at which this technology moves forward and just keeps marching, how beneficial will it be? Because I'm trying to think, and I don't know the answer to this as far as, is it a metadata type thing of how these images are pulled and found? But will it come to a point as these LLMs continue to create just more and more precise images that just a couple years ago, anytime you asked it to draw a person, it had like a whole bunch of extra fingers and that type of thing, where it's kind of easy to figure out, oh yeah, that's definitely an AI generated type image. But as these images continue to get more refined, where does and I don't know, is there a way that it can pull that? Because I know in the text space where you're trying to figure out is maybe an essay AI generated, I know that's getting to be more and more challenging. So that's kind of like where I was kind of thinking on looking at this. Is it more of a band-aid than it is more of a permanent solution?
And to your point, we've just seen legislation introduced regarding deep fakes. And we've also seen examples, if you watch the news or read the articles at all, you've seen some genuinely amazing, and not just deepfakes stills, but deepfake videos. The one that jumps to mind right now is the one with Al Roker selling, I think it was a weight loss or blood pressure medication, and it's not Al Roker. I mean, but it looks like Al Roker. If you really knew Al Roker, maybe you might question it. But if you just have the passing familiarity that all of us do from his appearances on network TV, you'd say, okay, yeah, Al's showing for this company. So, and that gets a little scary. So, I don't know. It's a slippery slope. There's no question about it. Webb, David, any final thoughts before we move on?
Good.
No? Webb's looking thoughtful.
On the YouTube chat, it sounds like my audio might be acting up a little bit. So So I'm being real quiet. I don't know if you're hearing anything on the Zoom side, but
A little bit.
Just a little, but not horrible. Webb, don't let that prevent you from sharing your
I-
wisdom.
I'm blaming Mr. Jabber tonight. So
This is another one that I want to know if you think this is important or not. And Marty, I'm going to turn back to you because you just said that you're using one of the or a service sort of like this. Adobe Firefly can now generate sound effects from your audio cues. So this is sound effects, but you just said that you're using music generation services. Good thing, bad thing?
I do have Adobe Firefly because I have an Adobe account that I use, and I use Adobe for video editing and also for audio editing. So that's why I have an Adobe account. Learned on it a long time ago, which is I've kind of stuck with that. But I haven't had an opportunity to try this out, and I don't know what sound effects would we create for this show.
Intelligent conversation, perhaps. Um, no, I don't. The I don't believe it plays, but the image in the article is a rocket launching into space,
Yeah.
and then there's a waveform showing, a rocket launching into space. So, that would be great if I let's
Had
just
a
say
need
that
for a rocket launching into space.
let's say that I went to Florida and witnessed a rocket launch and had video that I would like to, since it's my video, I can use it, but the audio
Yeah.
probably is going to lose the impact of it. And so if I could generate some audio to match it or get close to it, that would be a definite value add. So I just, everything is going to be AI generated, or at least you'll be able to at some point. And I don't know where the line is. if
You
there is
know,
one.
I like bad pictures and I like bad sound. So because they feel like I'm capturing something real. And now I'm going to sound like Eric. And from what I just said with the last comment, I'm going to sound like Eric. I'm okay with your video of the rocket taking off and it having subpar audio because that's what your experience was when you were there. It's the same way I feel about those HDR pictures that people are doing. So everything looks like it's glowing nowadays. It's not how we perceive it. And so I don't feel like I need to beef up the sound of a rocket taking off if that was the experience that I captured on my camera and essentially the experience I captured in my ear.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. I think it's an interesting perspective and it's a good one. I can't help but my mind immediately for some reason went to lip synced videos, a la MTV in the early days. Where there's no way that the sound is going to be. They're obviously performing for the camera, and so you're getting the high quality audio versus what it probably really sounded like in the room where they were doing it. So,
Yeah.
and we all ate that up and still do, because now, if I'm going to see a music video, I want it to sound good.
Yeah.
And actually, we have a living, breathing example right here, because there's Eric using his Vision Pro. And so, that's audio, or excuse me, that's video, but it look like Eric. It looks like Eric. It's emoting like Eric. Does that make it any less useful? I don't know what Eric's doing with his hands.
But it's not Eric. Come on, guys. We know it's not
Put it
Eric.
over your mouth. Show everybody.
Oh yeah. This is good. So get a can out, take a big drink. Mm.
You don't see it.
Yep. Totally invisible, except for the fuzzing around the mouth. It goes
Yeah,
away.
that's real, Eric.
Yeah.
It's useful though. It's kind of like having the rocket launch with, X-wings in the background and the noise. Sometimes, it might not have really happened that way, but that's how I'm telling the story.
Okay. Marty, I know you got to run. You're welcome
Yeah.
to stay as long as you want, but right quick, where can folks find you?
You can find me at Gencius, Gencius, at mastodon.social or Gencius, Gencius at Blue Sky. All the shows that I'm involved with, and I even mentioned this on the website, you can find at thepodtalk.net. Monday nights with Eric on Vision Profiles, and with Dave on Vision Profiles. He's a regular with us. And it's great to have that show. And then other shows you can find at thepodtalk.net. Tuesdays here with you, Chuck. Thank you for having me. And Thursdays with Dave on In Touch with iOS. So it's just good to be a part of this. I'm sorry I have to run off tonight. Something's come up that I've got to deal with. So
Nope.
Usually doesn't happen. Yeah.
Take care.
Don't worry about it. Go
Yep.
deal with it. Hope everything's good.
Okay.
We'll see you next
Yep.
time. Take care.
Marty.
Yep.
Bye, Marty.
Bye.
So we have just a couple more to get to that are just a little more fun. I don't know if this will generate discussion or not. I know I have some strong feelings about it, but this digital detox summer camp may be able to cure your kids' smartphone addiction. I'm sorry Marty had to go because I really would like to hear from the educators in the room. And so obviously he's gone, so that means it falls to Eric and Brian. I understand where the concern is, but this seems to my way of thinking, this is one of those things where are you trying to recapture the quote unquote old days, or are you just refusing to teach kids how to use these tools responsibly? Or is this a real, honest to God, genuine problem?
It's a huge
Huh?
problem.
Okay. It's a real problem, Eric?
It's a massive problem.
Okay.
So, I mean, you've had a whole pile of kids that were isolated during the COVID years, missed out on all kinds of socialization, or totally involved in a little screen because that's all the communication they had. It was bad before COVID. It's 10 times worse afterwards. And trying to get anybody to be able to keep their eyes off a screen long enough to pay attention. And, all of the variability between, do you take away cell phones at the beginning of the hour? Does that cause extra anxiety or not? Do parents need to be able to reach people at every second of the day or not? And there are valid reasons for all of the different factors, but it does create a distraction, and it creates a way that students can fall into something that just takes them away from the rest of the day. Now, I have to say, I may have, spent most of my high school years reading a book during class, but I think the phones are even more addictive, and it's harder to pull yourself away from it. I'll let Brian speak about it because I just see the students after they get out of high school and have to try and interact with us in college.
Yeah, I was looking at this, and to echo what Eric was mentioning, there are certain, I too was as much of a book reader, magazine reader, comic reader in high school. And one could maybe say that's a similar type thing to pull that away, but there is such a deep addictive nature to so many of the ways at which people use their cell phones, and young people and everybody using their cell phones, and that aspect of getting those constant updates, that constant connectedness, and not necessarily in a healthy way. I was looking through this particular article and how it is mentioning this. I believe they called it a camp, where they were just cold turkey taken away from their phones altogether for a period of time, and all the frustrations that came about with that. I don't necessarily feel qualified to answer if that's the best way to go cold turkey on that. But I think there's certainly, we see it in the K-12 system with, while there's certainly positives that can come out of responsible phone use and the responsible apps and the connections. I know the being brought up by Eric earlier on during the pandemic and having that isolation, but the phone was also there to create connectedness as well during that time. So there's definitely some positives, but all too often, and even on its most maybe benign aspects of too much phone use, it's the fact that some students aren't getting enough sleep and then they're not productive the next day and missing out. The states have really taken a look at this, and I was just reading a different article the other day, and I'll try to post it here in the chat for the show notes. But it was noting that quite recently in Utah, they had just recently banned cell phone use in schools, or at least heavily restricted it. I know that's going on also in Arizona, and I believe 29 or 28 other states in the District of Columbia as well, where there's different levels of restrictions of phones in the school systems, and each of those systems has their own definitions of what that means as far as banned from stepping foot inside on the campus and leaving, or whether that's just during instructional time. But it certainly is certainly a concern. And on the other side of the coin, though, and I know I've mentioned this in the show before, I think there's also a lot of responsibility that needs to take place with regards to teaching young people how to appropriately use devices as well. And what that definition of appropriate use, I guess could vary from person to person, but where it begins to affect the relationships that you have with other people and aspects of, I'm sure at one point or another, all of us were teased and or bullied at one point or another, but to have that constant always on that never stops takes it to another level, and being able to spread those types of sometimes horrible messages to one another. It's not one to one, it's one to many, sometimes one to thousands, can be real tough.
So you both mentioned the pandemic, and the implications of the fallout from that. Do you think you see in the wave of kids that's coming up after the pandemic, is the problem as pronounced, and which would lead you to believe that it is just going to be an ongoing thing, or is it trailing off a little bit with the kids that could or have been able to have the normal socialization, or the more normal socialization?
That's a great question. I know for my population of students that I work more closely with, it's more of the higher end of high school, and I'm seeing more of a trail off from that. But I think, and this is just, and I'm still stepping a little bit out of my expertise zone on this, but it might be more of a developmental aspect of when the pandemic hit, they were already teenagers. And so they already had like a built-in system already of utilizing this technology in a different way. It'll be interesting to see in the next 5 years or so when we start to see some of those who were younger, your elementary age students, when they were in the midst of the pandemic, become high school age. So at least from my point of view.
Eric?
And I think there's been some effort in how to reduce the use of phones without overly stressing the students. So things like, instead of turning in a phone at the office at the beginning of the day or whatever, or not being allowed to put it in the building anywhere, things where you walk into the classroom and there's a cubby near the door and your phone goes into the same spot every single day and you can see it from where you sit, so you know where it is. And as soon as the class is over, you can go and check and see, if your grandmother's sick or out of the hospital or whatever urgent thing. I think there's a lot of really urgent situations that kids are dealing with that having no contact is extra stressful. And I know that, growing up years and years and decades ago, there weren't cell phones. I mean, you got in a car and drove across town to go tell the person to, hang up their phone so you could call them. And it's a totally different experience with the cell phones. So it's kind of, there seems to be a mix of anxiety, anxiousness, both on the parents and on the kids, that hasn't really been dealt with yet. So kind of experimenting with different ways to pull the phone far enough away from the student that there is interaction in the classroom without being distracted, I think is good. I have no idea how they're going to do that in the years to come, and I haven't seen the really young kids yet. There's certainly a lot of parents that are trying to remove phones entirely, but on the other hand, there's well, you don't get a phone, but we'll slap a watch on your wrist, and now the watches are a lot more capable. So
Yep.
The only thing I'd like to add to the conversation is something I see constantly in restaurants with toddlers. The toddlers have phones in front of them. They have them mounted on their strollers in front of them. And then the parents wonder why the kids are addicted to these phones. They put them on the table during the meal. Now, I say that without being a parent, because it clearly keeps the child entertained, keeps them quiet, and perhaps maybe behaving a little better than they might otherwise. So I completely understand the motivation. But if you're going to train your kids this way and to have that constant input from a screen, then you're going to bear the consequences. And then maybe spend $2,000 for a week's camp to try to detox them. So Cindy just said, great points from both Eric and Brian. I witnessed it today at the art show. Yeah. So, there you go. There you go. It is something that, I think we need to think about it a little more. I tend to be more technology oriented. And so I tend to think it's more a matter of teaching the kids how to be responsible instead of trying to enforce it with rules that they're going to do their best to get around. That's just what you did, I did, we all did at that age or those ages.
Well, and remember the talk at MacStock where the presenter was walking around the room and we're behind people and up the aisles, and that sort of much more interactive teaching style? That helps too, because, if there's interaction and walking back and forth, not just in school, but it's a problem now in lecture halls and just presentations where you're trying to teach people how the new software is going to work, and trying to move around the room or have, more slides that change more frequently. The attention span has gone from minutes to seconds, and I don't think that's going to change for quite a while.
Well, that's happening to all of us, even as
Yeah.
adults.
Yes.
Our attention spans are dropping radically. Think about the long form articles, and I think it was Marty that was discussing how old we all are. But think about the long form articles that used to be in Macworld or MacUser, and now, if you're beyond 4 paragraphs, if you're beyond 3, you're ready to move on. It's like, okay, well, I don't need 25 paragraphs. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know how to follow that up, except just to say it is what it is. So, I do want to do one more. David had to step away for a second. He's back, and I wanted to get his thoughts on this one. So, Dave, I'm putting you on the spot because I didn't warn you about this, but I'm sure you know it, about a Microsoft SharePoint hack.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't want to know what your company's done or anything, but how do you
No.
see this? Because I know you and I have had some discussions about SharePoint and storing data there, storing information there. It looks like this will not be a big issue for Mac users other than maybe disrupting access to some files. But is this as major a thing as this article and a number of others I've read have made it out to be?
I don't think this is major of an article. Major. I mean, I saw this. I didn't just read it in depth, but I don't think it's as a major of an issue because you really haven't heard much about it. I haven't heard much about it within with my company, but yeah, right, I'm not specifying what we do about it. But if it was, believe me, I would hear about it. I mean, it's something that you got to remember that the SharePoint and all of Microsoft's tools that are set up in a corporate world is through Azure. Azure is the big box that everything is contained. So uh, we wouldn't be using the tools if you couldn't couldn't protect us from being from outside access to the information. You know, in my case, all we don't allow anything outside of our network to access SharePoint nor OneDrive either. So that in itself, I think a lot of companies are practicing that rule, and because of the fact that it's secure and they have other means of setting up how you can access it by sending a alternate way of sharing something through a SharePoint site by knowing that it's locked down and off of a network. So that's what you're going to see a lot of companies do. The fact of the matter is, yeah, it's pretty serious. I mean, Microsoft's going to jump on this if they haven't already, pretty quick on it. But yeah, I think many companies know that it can be an issue and do protect from it.
I brought this up not to do the usual Microsoft beating, but
No, that's right.
just that we talk a lot about security, and we have a lot of folks out there who do work with Microsoft-oriented systems. I know Webb has said that his company does. And so whenever I see one of these things that is looks to be this dangerous, I want to make sure we just at least mention it from a Mac user's perspective. And so other than just a disruption of services, this doesn't look like it's anything that could cause us problems, unless have confidential data stored on there.
Right.
And then you may want to look into it a little bit more. So
I think these types of articles like to sensationalize a little bit, honestly. I mean, when we go back last year with CrowdStrike, that was a big problem, and that's a system that is open and allows that. In this case, I think many companies have the control of the way data is accessed out inside and outside the network. So I think they like a little bit of a scare tactic for a little bit, in my opinion.
okay. Oh, I'll give Lamp the last word in the chat room. The Microsoft SharePoint hack is a big deal. I'm a senior security engineer. I work for a Fortune 50 company. This is not a good look for Microsoft.
I agree with that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Lamp, what is a good look for Microsoft? No, never mind. Forget that.
Don't get them going.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. Guys, we're at time. Thank you very much. We've covered a lot of ground here tonight, and I really appreciate the opinions and the diversity of thought on all of them. Let's go around the room, let folks know where they can find you, and then we'll get out of here. I'm going to start in the garden this time, and with Mr. Eric Bolden. Eric, thank you so much for showing up with the Vision Pro and giving us a look at, what it can be if we're going to use it on something like Zoom or Teams or whatever. Where can folks connect with you?
Well, and I have to say that if you're going in for like dental work or something where your whole face is going to swell up, the Persona lets you, cover up the fact that half your face is swollen or you've got a big Band-Aid from the chicken that scratched your face or whatever it happens to be. So yeah, there's some benefits. Not saying I have any experience with the chicken.
No, not at all.
But the soup is really good. Unrelated to the chicken, I'm sure. So I can be found on Mastodon at eabolden at mas.to. Mondays with Vision Profiles with Marty and Dave, and Tuesdays here, of course, with everybody, and Thursdays with In Touch with iOS. So I get my Vision OS, Mac OS, iOS, iPad OS, throughout the week. Highly recommended for everyone.
Yes.
And then you get hands-on experience with Apple with tvOS on the weekends to watch whatever you want.
Yeah,
I
There
see.
you go.
I see.
excellent.
I do feel obligated to point out, though, that Eric is using his Persona now, but when he cut it away to his regular camera, he still had most of his face covered with the Vision Pro. So I suspect there may be some truth to the chicken scratch thing.
We may never know.
We Well, Bixby, thanks so much for being here. You and your quilts. Well, the Quilt Queen's quilts. Where
Quilt
can
Queen's
folks
quilt,
find
yeah.
you?
Yeah, trust me, I had nothing to do with this, but listen to the swearing. So, anyway, you can find me. I'm still sticking with Blue Sky because I just like the name. So, Web Bixby, WEBBIXBY. Go over there and find me.
Thanks, Web.
Oh, and NFL camp's open today.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Brian Flanagan
Chiefs.
Arthurs, thank you for being here. Where can folks connect with you?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. Best place to connect with me is my website, brian8944.com. Also, if you like to check out a new podcast episode coming out this Thursday of On the Desk of Brian. And then in addition to that, you can find me most often here on Tuesday evenings. Appreciate it. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you, Brian. It's always a pleasure. Last but not least, in an undisclosed location in a hotel somewhere, David Ginsburg. David, I'm not going to tell him where it is. I'll just let.
I already said it at the beginning.
Oh, did you? Okay, I didn't remember.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to spoil the fun. Where can folks find you other than in the hotel room?
Yes. You could find me at In Touch with iOS and intouchwithios.com. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/intouchwithios. And I'm on Vision Profiles on Monday nights with Eric and Marty. I have an absolute blast on that show. Thursday nights we record In Touch with iOS, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and I'm on occasionally on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network, as well as you can find me on social media, Dave G65 on both Mastodon and Blue Sky. Thanks for having me, Chuck.
Thank you, David. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices Live, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are, on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. If you can't make it at our actual live times, these shows eventually show up in the Mac Voices feeds, lightly edited, but the content is always there for you to enjoy and be informed by. Until next week, as always, thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. I'm sorry. Marty had to cut out, but thank you. That was a really good show.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a really, really good show. And thank you to the chat room for all the comments. Lamp and Cindy and Barry, always appreciate you expressing yourselves and having also a little fun along the way. That's why we can't take some of this stuff. We can't take most of the stuff seriously. Some we have to, but most of it we can have a little fun with.
Yeah.
So
I bet you got an I Love Microsoft sticker on your card, Chuck. I'm sure you do. You're just having fun with it, right?
I heart Microsoft.
mhm, yeah.
We should gang up and send them a couple of them.
Don't you? It'd be the biggest waste of money you've ever made.
Maybe I have Tracy make you a big Microsoft quilt.
Well,
Take it into 4 colors.
with Teams logos, the whole quilt.
Oh my God.
Or just, and then flip it over to the other side. It'll just be the blue screen of death.
Every time somebody calls me on Teams, I cringe, and I know I cringe. I get a Zoom invitation, and it's no problem. Let's get in there and do it. Teams, I just cringe. I don't know if it's our implementation, or if it's me, or what it is, but it just never seems to go well. So.
Well, it was about a year ago that we went down the using the Teams platform for all of our voice communication too, and
Right,
it's
same
our
here.
connection to the outside world. and it was really goofy. It's either gotten better or I've gotten used to it, but and maybe a little bit of both is the actuality. But I'm not a crazy fan of it, but I've come to acceptance. I found peace. You know.
Just think the economics of it. I mean, it's so much less for a corporation versus like the Cisco phones, which are just god awful expensive. That makes
That's
such
what
a
we got rid
difference.
of when we got these. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Same
doing this. We're doing the
situation.
same.
Yeah.
So
'Cause if they, Dave, I'm right there with you, and I fully appreciate the economics if they work. But I've gotten to the point now where I tell people to call me back on my cell phone because the delays. I mean, there is a noticeable delay in us trying to have a conversation, and so you end up talking over people because you think they're finished and they're not, and yeah, it just
yeah, I just
no.
don't experience that. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it definitely could be an implementation issue.
Yeah, yeah.
Or whatever license that you're on, and it all makes differences there too.
Or somebody at Microsoft is really, really good at programming and it just knows every time I come in and it says it's going to mess with me. That's,
Yeah.
I'm not self-centered at all.
Could be true.
Well,
Now-
the chicken scratch could be true also, Eric, but
Yeah.
has anyone ever tried to? And it's a Microsoft question, but and David, maybe you're the first person to ask. But there's the integration that the Mac OS has with iCloud. Okay. And how do I get away from that? Because I have what is it? PDF Expert is the my PDF reader of choice. But it defaults only to iCloud. Or of course I can store it locally too, but if I try to go to anything else, OneDrive, it just throws a fit. I wasn't sure if anyone has ever had to detach from iCloud.
We
web,
don't use iCloud, so it's not. I don't know how you got your network, how your systems are set up. I don't know if your devices are being managed by Jamf, if they're, we're
No, they're
using,
not.
yeah. So we're everything's in Apple Business Manager. So I wouldn't experience that because I wouldn't even be able to use PDF Expert on my work computer because it would have to be an approved app that's installed in Jamf that allows it to be installed through self-service. So
Okay.
if you're using PDF Expert, that's obviously a personal license that you downloaded from your personal iCloud account that you wouldn't you can disconnect from iCloud, but you wouldn't be able to get any updates for it.
so web, when you say it throws a fit, what do you mean it throws a fit?
Well, I don't know when like as David said, when I tried to use it, and I'm trying to save to another platform, OneDrive. It what it ends up doing, it does both is what it ends up doing. It does to OneDrive and
Because you are syncing the folders locally, whether it be Dropbox, OneDrive, or iCloud, and they sync back up to the cloud.
yeah.
So if
OneDrive's
you
a big
decide,
no-no in my world. Yeah, but yeah.
You say
well,
OneDrive is.
Excuse me. Dropbox is a big no-no in my world. Excuse me.
Okay.
I see.
I
Yeah, no,
misspoke.
we don't use any of the. I mean, I don't use any of those services corporate. It's strictly OneDrive. So, but you're using iCloud. That's surprising. It's open because that's generally something that corporate doesn't allow either
I
because it's
I
more
get
on the
I get
consumer sides.
I think I get some special exceptions. Don't ask
Uh,
me why they treat me different, but
that's some weird thing. I know.
but it
Believe me,
is a problem.
It happens in your role in many companies, I'm sure.
So now I asked, how do I get iCloud to be in the secure world?
You don't. It's because it's a consumer type product that you're just not going to be able to in the corporate world.
Although you should be able to set a profile on apps and save locations. and that might be enough.
Yeah, maybe a PDF expert can let you set it to save at a different location. Like let's say default it to your OneDrive folder when you save it, and it should automatically sync instead of it sending to your local documents or something like that. mean, is
Web,
Are you,
yeah, sorry, Dave, go ahead. Pardon me.
is your Mac backing up all of your files onto iCloud as well?
No.
Okay, so
No,
you're
we
basically
use a
just using
different,
the
we did use a different platform for backup. So
got it. Yeah, so then it sounds like you're not using iCloud storage. You're just using iCloud for you're
yeah,
basically using the app store. That's what you're
yeah.
Yeah, what you can do, you can just have just the app store and turn everything else, force everything else off.
Yeah, I was going to say Web because I have, I'm looking at this particular Mac here because I do not have iCloud turned on this Mac because I keep this Mac as pristine as I possibly can because it's my recording Mac. So I just pulled up my settings and under my Apple ID, iCloud Drive is turned off.
Yeah.
But
No,
even otherwise though, I've had Pages documents that I didn't want to go to iCloud, that I just wanted to be on my working Mac, and it never argued with me. I mean, it always defaults to saving
Right.
it into iCloud, but if I say no, I really want to store it, in this folder in my documents folder, it doesn't argue with me. It just makes me go there every time.
Yeah.
Which may be an advertisement for default folder if you are not familiar with that.
oh, I am.
Okay, yeah, because then I always have my favorites set up along the side so that I can just jump into them anytime.
I was God, what was there was a PDF reader. It was from Smile on My Mac,
PDF Pen.
PDF Pen. And I use that almost religiously for a long, long time. I mean, years. And then it got kind of wonky and bought and sold and some other things. So
Or
I switched over.
Nitro does it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Here's my
Brian just-
Nitro right there. So,
Yeah.
so, but so I've gone over to PDF Expert and I like it. I love the way
Yeah, I've
that you
used
can
it.
annotate things, and it's between the and the other thing that is great about iCloud is being able to use multiple devices. Whether I'm using my
Right.
iPad, which of course is the device that I travel with. When I was at Macstock, for example, that was my device of choice. But then when I'm sitting in my office, I'm on a Mac, or I got my MacBook right here, and that integration is great for me. It's something that I've gotten used to.
But that's not normal for a corporate type employee to have that luxury. So
Yeah, I know.
But Dave, I mean, given
What if I
who-
hold my breath and stomp my feet until I get my way?
Yeah, that might
Um,
work.
Web, look, as we're joking, of course, but you should have some say in what gets used. Is there a way, David? I'm looking at you. Is there a way to integrate Jamf into Web's world so that
oh yeah.
the corporate IT could be satisfied that the Apple devices are being properly managed and secured?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Jamf will control everything that
Yeah.
for what a device can and cannot do. Like on a Mac, you have all, like in the case of PDF Expert, you can have that license purchased by the company and put into the catalog on Jamf, and then those applications are available to install by self-service.
Yeah.
And then same thing with controlling of iCloud's blocked through Jamf, but you can set it to we have it set up so all the folders are now being redirected because now OneDrive has folder redirection, and it'll redirect anything that's being saved on your Mac to OneDrive. Because that was a big problem before. People would be saving on the local machine and would never get backed up, and then there was a big, huge risk of files not being backed up, and then and they wonder why their files are gone because they're working. It gave them the ability to be able to work
Yeah.
local or local, where you want everything to be backed up on specific folders, but and keep the control of where those folders can be used and not used. That's more for protection than anything else. I mean, it's just that's just the way it is. I mean, folder redirection was was just like the big thing that Microsoft finally did with even on the Windows side, it was a problem that it wasn't redirecting the folders that was supposed to. Like your basics, your desktop, your documents,
Uh-huh.
and so on and so forth. So
I love it when Webb gets that far away look in his eye. He's thinking, how can I have my way?
Well,
yeah,
no, that's easy. It's trying to be compliant. It gets to be the challenge.
there you go. Yeah.
When you say compliant, you mean industry standards?
Security.
Following the corporate rules. So
Right. Yeah.
I have to set the example. So
Yeah. But
Yep.
trust me, you're not the only one that in your role that does that.
Elon.
oh no,
does
we have I got 400 employees and I got 20 Mac users in
Yeah.
my world. I'm not the only one.
Wow.
But I'm saying
And,
that's the only one that they're getting exceptions to being able to install.
Yeah. And then the other thing
apps.
comes down to using iOS or other mobile devices. And well, I've said too much. It's mobile devices are a challenge, but even on
Right.
Android, it does matter. So, if the Windows Phone had actually worked, I'd be screwed. So
Yeah.
that's a joke.
Yeah.
We're all supposed to laugh at that. So
I thought it was funny. The joke and the Windows Phone. So
Oh, I thought it was that it actually would work. But
Speaking of Windows phones, I saw one in a TV show the other day, and I haven't seen one of those things in forever. I was watching, I don't know, it was a show that it was recommended to me on Prime called Hand of God. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. It's with Ron Perlman in it. It's okay. It was recommended to me, and I'm going through it. But it was filmed back in like between 2014, I think, and 2016. And it's a very interesting time period because I'm seeing phones out there that I haven't seen in forever. They have a Windows phone, a series of Blackberries, some flip phones, and absent from it are any iPhones and any Androids. I thought that was kind of interesting, being the fact that obviously they were around during that time. But yeah, I was like, this is interesting production decision, I guess, on what they're using.
wow, this sounds like I'm not even going to read the whole description, but award-winning actor Ron Perlman stars in this drama. As in this drama, the law-abiding Judge Parental Harris, a hard-living married man with a high-end call girl on the side. After his only son attempts suicide, Harris has a mental breakdown and becomes convinced that he can hear the voice of God. And I'm not going to read the rest. Wow.
It's an interesting show. Can't say it's a favorite, but it's out there.
Oh.
what's everybody watching right now?
Besides Hand of God.
Yeah.
I want to catch up on Stranger Worlds.
yeah,
Oh.
it's good.
Yeah,
I've been
it's-
very
it's-
happy.
So on that note, on Strange New Worlds, definitely, at least for me, I really needed that recap from
Yeah, the
the
recap
end of
was
the
awesome.
previous season. It's a
Because
two-year, yeah, it's a 2-year hiatus. I mean,
it was a long time.
on a cliffhanger episode.
That was part 2, yeah, first episode.
Yeah.
I mentioned this.
Oh, you go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Oh, I was say the second of the 2 episodes that dropped on the same night were much more lighthearted, though.
Yeah, I didn't see the second episode yet, so no spoilers.
Nope.
Oh,
Yeah.
the part where
Yeah, remember when?
Take a
I can't
drink,
believe.
Eric.
Nice one.
I'm just finishing up a show that I picked on the Mac show on the British Tech Network. Does anybody remember Orphan Black?
Yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was awesome.
Well, there's Orphan Black Echoes,
Oh,
which
didn't know
is
that.
it was only one season. I found it completely by accident, Eric, and
Hmm.
I have to tell you, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's not, it doesn't have the comedic aspect that Orphan Black did in places. It's a bit more serious, but it has a few twists and turns that you don't really see coming, and asks a lot of questions that are really challenging to answer, as far as ethics and morality.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to say any more because I don't want to give anybody any spoilers if they haven't seen the original. But if you haven't seen the original, it is absolutely well worth the time. It is so well done. And even though I just mentioned comedic aspects, there are some, but that's not the basis for it. So
Add it to the list.
Marty's in the chat room. He said he watched had the last watched the last episode from the last season to catch up. He did not like episode 2. So
I'm not going to spoil anything because David, but I wonder if there's a certain, and Eric, I think you saw episode 2, I think, right? So I wonder if there's a certain type of episode that Marty doesn't like that may influence whether he likes episode 2.
Yeah, maybe.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I've got a product launch tomorrow morning that's going to be ugly and early, both.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say goodnight. Thank you
Me
all
too.
for being here. This
Oh.
this was a fun night. It always
Yeah.
is,
Always.
but this will seem to be extra fun.
Good.
So
It's the flowers.
it's the flowers.
Felt at peace.
Just don't go. If you go off live, someone got something to share. We're off when we're off.
Okay. In that case, I will say goodnight to the chat room. Good night,
Good night, chat room.
Thanks for being here.